This is the Herd Line News.
Cam Newton is approaching this week as if his starting job is in jeopardy following a bad performance Sunday against the Niners. But he's not just thinking about losing his job. He's thinking about losing respect of the locker room.
And the first thing I said, to myself coming home, I said, you keep playing games like that, bro, and it's going to be a permanent change. I don't fear coach's stability or my position stability more so than controlling the locker room. Because knowing, you have your coach's, belief, but my belief is I want to have the whole facility.
He was benched in the fourth quarter for Jarrett Stidham. Bill Belichick claims he was just trying to get Stidham some reps, but I don't know that would be really necessary if Cam Newton was playing well. He was 9 of 15, 98 yards, no touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Look, this was a terrible game for the Patriots. What's daunting is what's moving forward for them. So they're at the Bills, then they're at the Jets, assuming they can win that game. They have the Ravens, and then they're at Houston, which, even though Houston is not a good team this year, they're competitive in putting up points in every game.
If I said take Cam Newton's career, cut it in half, the biggest game in the history of Cam's first half was a Super Bowl.
Right.
I'd argue this is the biggest game in the second half. Forget the Patriots for a second. Cam needs to get some good football on film. Because the Seattle game now, everybody looks great against Seattle. If I'm Cam Newton, I understand winning the locker room matters. I do get that. But Cam also needs, because Cam's got football left. You can make an argument, like he's got 4 good years left. He's healthy. He's big. He's physical. Cam needs to start putting good tape out there. Because if he's not going to be in New England, and it doesn't look like they're a very good football team. I mean, Joey, it's the slowest football team in the league. They're not winning 10 games here.
Well, yes. And look, like personally, I was rooting for Cam, and Cam looked good initially, right? So maybe that confused us as to what New England really is.
Yeah. But what they are is rebuilding.
But they weren't a good team. So
8 players opted out.
Right. On top of that. So what kind of expectations did everyone have for New England? I think we all kind of got caught up in what Cam looked like in the first game.
Well, September's fooled us my entire life. Ryan Fitzpatrick has looked like the second best quarterback in the league in September twice. Like, September fools you because the weather's perfect, and all of a sudden you wake up, and this morning it's like Arizona appears to be way better than New England. The Raiders in September. So
right.
It's like this is not like anybody's fault. We all get fooled by September. Every year it's like Andy Reid would have 12 Super Bowls if the season stopped October 3rd. And then his teams have not quite, like last year, finally they got better at the end of the year.
Yeah.
But I think it's one of those things where September, everybody's healthy, but New England is a totally limited roster.
I felt like this past week was a really pivotal game, a game that they had to win. So as badly as they played is a sign of what they are, because that was the game they really needed to win.
Yeah.
And now they're at the Bills, which is another good team who's trying to win the AFC East, like a division game. So he's going to need to play really well in this game. I agree with you. This is a crucial game for Cam Newton, not just for the Patriots, but for Cam's future. So Antonio Brown has experience with Bruce Arians from their time together in Pittsburgh. That Arians thinks Brown will be starting from square one when he joins the Bucs. He said, when I left, they changed the terminology in Pittsburgh for all those years he played, so it'll pretty much be ground zero with him. Other than the route tree, we run routes and things like that. It'll be a big adjustment for him, but we'll get him up to speed. He can officially join the team after Week 8, and the Bucs face the Saints Week 9. He had 4 receptions for 56 yards and a touchdown, the only game he played with Brady last season.
Did you see that Chris Godwin broke a finger, so he's out? So he's going to get snaps when he's... The question you and I both have is, when Godwin and Mike Evans are eventually healthy, and we're thinking it's this year,
right,
the question will become with Scotty Miller, like, where do you get... They're going to be a lot... You're going to have 3 elite premier, well, at least 2 superstar-level wide receivers.
I'm not going to assume that Antonio Brown is going to come in and look like he did in that game with the Patriots, because it's been a long time since he's played football. But if Chris Godwin is hurt for a significant amount of time and Antonio Brown comes in and starts to develop that kind of chemistry with Tom Brady, there's not going to be really a whole lot of complaining that's merited, because and Chris Godwin is a great player and has been a good teammate for the Bucs, but if you're not available, you're not there.
Listen, I said that. Did I say this to you the other day? Like, I went to Jay Glazer Sunday off the air, and I said, some of this feels like Brady is getting tired of these guys always having a hamstring issue. You can play with a broken finger, by the way. It's the NFL. Everybody does. So it's like, at some point, do you bring AB in to say, Guys, I've got a new.
I mean, I'm not judging people's injuries. If I
Right.
had a broken finger, I might be crying for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Like, if you're not available, then someone else is going to be there playing. And look, I have no faith that this is going to work. I'm at zero.
Yes.
I'm simply watching. I am observing, and
Yes.
that is it. I have no expectations of how this is going to look or work or how it's going to turn out, because based off of the information that I have, which is a lot, it doesn't work out. So I'm just going to watch and observe. I agree with Arian. So it's going to take some time for him to get going. Finally, the 49ers suffered even more injuries this weekend. Wide receiver Deebo Samuel is dealing with a left hamstring strain and will likely miss the next 2 games. And Sunday's star running back Jeff Wilson Jr. suffered a high ankle sprain and is expected to be placed on injured reserve this week. So more injury issues for the 49ers, who already have a lengthy list of injuries.
Oh, Lord. By the way, they play Seattle this week. It's my favorite bet of the week. Seattle over San Francisco. So many good, capable players hurt right now.
So many injuries for our radio listeners. It's essentially an NBA roster worth
12
of
guys.
injuries. It's a lot,
And most of them are good players.
Yes, and it's a bad time for them to have those injuries because, as you mentioned, they're at the Seahawks, and they have the Packers, and then they're at the Saints, and then they have a bye. So they have a stretch of 3 really tough games coming up before their bye. They're 4th in the NFC West right now at 4-3, Rams 5-2, Cardinals 5-2, and the Seahawks 5-1. So where we might have closed the door on the 49ers too soon as far as how well they can still play and keep it together, the injuries might just be the thing that overwhelms them this year.
Yeah. Joy with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.